morning from the Front Porch. I'm Steph, and today I have a guest with me today, and we're doing something kind of different. I decided to do a little bit of a video cast, bringing attention on some of my really close friends, my band family, creative people, just generally anybody, even a neighbor can come over and just have fun and chat on the front porch. And since the weather's starting to get warm, I figured we'd just start doing these videos. So today I have with me David Shorb. And David is a leather artist. He does stuff with leather. And I've known Dave for about 2 years. I met him a couple of years ago at an event. Do you remember that event? It was at the AMVETS. That was for...
that was the charity.
Charity for the cancer...
Yeah, I'm trying to think. Was that the... Because we've been to a couple of them.
Right, but we met at a charity event at AMVETS where there were a bunch of bands, and it was for Tim.
Yes.
Tim was going through cancer treatment and chemotherapy, and we were there to try to raise money for not only to get him the care he needed, but also to give awareness. So yeah, that's where we met. And I just kind of connected with him. It was almost like we were almost like brothers. Just immediately we connected. It was pretty cool, man. And it's just been kind of a cool thing ever since then. Generally just going to bands, live performances, hanging out with our band family, music and art, man. That's what it's all about. So Dave, just tell me a little bit about yourself. Where you from?
Originally from here in Frederick, between Frederick and Carroll County. Went to school in Frederick, went to TJ. When I was 17, I took off, hitchhiked across the country, and ended up in New Mexico for a while. Finished school there. Actually, I got my GED.
That's pretty cool, man.
High school.
That was back in the days when you could do that and not have to worry about too much, right?
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. It was an interesting trip.
That's cool. So, how long have you been an artist? I mean, have you been doing this leather thing?
The leather's been probably about 25 years, but I've always found some type of artistic outlet from the time I can remember, probably 5th grade. There was some photography. Through a class project, we actually took a first place in Maryland Film Festival for a slide presentation on jousting, the Maryland state sport.
That's pretty cool, man.
And then when I was in high school and throughout that, I tried the music thing. Was a singer, tried to be a singer for a little while. Got fairly decent.
That's
had
cool.
A timing issue.
Wow,
there's nothing worse than having a 6-octave range with a timing issue.
You have the look of a rocker, man. You got that total vibe going for you, man. I could see you as a front man. That would be really cool, man.
I've had. It's funny because you go to shows and stuff, and people come up and they talk to me sometimes like I'm in the bands and stuff, and I'm just like, no.
That's funny, man. Yeah, I get that a little bit myself. I think it's because we have long hair.
Yeah.
That's
Absolutely.
funny. So, how did you get to start using leather? I mean, what was your motivator to say, hey, man, I just want to start working with leather?
Actually, 25 years ago, was at the Renaissance Festival. And it was the first costume kind of purchase I had ever made while I was there. We used to go every year. And I figure this is 20 plus years ago. I spent like $150 on this hat. And I love it. I still have it. I got home and I'm like, I love this thing, but it's a Cavalier hat, big, wide, swooping brim. It's not like I could just wear it anywhere.
Yeah.
And so I won't say buyer's remorse, but it was one of them things where, I realized that it's a lot of money to spend for a weekend a year, and looked at it going, I bet I can learn how to make this.
That's pretty cool.
And then started picking up books and...
Well, you do some really cool work.
Thank
I've
you.
seen your work on Facebook, and we're going to talk about that in a little bit, about, where you can see his work, some of the projects he's working on, and then we'll also provide some contact information how you can get in touch with Dave if you want to get some work done. In fact, I'm going to show you something he did for me. My wife commissioned him to make this really cool hat for me. And this hat's really, it's pretty kick-ass. I mean, it's got a good story, man. It's got cobra skin on the sides. That's a rattlesnake spine on the front. And I've always liked the look that Lemmy had from Motorhead. And I said, man, I want a Lemmy hat. So Dave made this hat for me. Michelle commissioned it. And speaking of Michelle, we have actually some of her great cream puffs out here. Woo! I bet you guys want some of those, huh?
Which are delicious.
Yeah, they are pretty good. It's hard for me to maintain my weight with that kind of stuff
Yeah,
around.
right? I imagine.
But yeah, so he does some really cool stuff. But you don't just make hats. You do other things. What kind of other projects do you work on?
It depends a lot of times on my mood, what I find. But mostly personal. I don't want to say apparel. Personal. What's the word I'm looking for? Small personal apparel items, wallets, cuffs, bracelets, bags, backpacks.
That's cool, man.
Anything except clothing. Really.
Right. Well, leather clothes.
That's a whole different.
Yeah, it's a different kind of leather too. I mean, the leather. I have some leather pants, and I thought I was gonna wear them one night. Really cool. And after about 10 or 15 minutes in those things, I was like ready to get out, man. I was cooking, and it was really a bad decision to wear leather pants.
Especially if they're lined, man. Leather does not breathe. That's the whole point, the leather jackets and stuff. It's a tough material.
Yeah. So, what's your inspiration? I mean, I know a lot of musicians have inspiration. Me as an artist, I have different artists I look at for inspiration. I find myself often carousing the internet looking for things that are unique to kind of inspire me. Where do you get your inspiration from to do your projects?
It depends. That's kind of like a multifaceted kind of question, really. It's kind of loaded. Sometimes it's something that I want or need. Sometimes one of my leather suppliers, every Thursday, they have a live sale on Facebook. And Springfield Leather, I love them. That's my go-to usually. And on their live sale, they do like odd lot stuff they get in that's, they don't have, it's not something they have a SKU on.
Right.
And so sometimes it's just a matter of like, I'll see something interesting on there and I'll pick it up. And it may set on the shelf or up on the roll for a while, and then it'll tell me kind of what it wants.
Right.
Like,
right.
I don't know if you saw the elephant purse that I did.
Yeah, that was pretty cool.
That was
neat.
one of those things. It just sat. This hat was one of those things. It just sat there.
Yeah.
And I don't know what to do with the particular leather. And then one day it just says, no, I want to be this.
Right. Well, cool. So, I think every artist has their different ways of doing things, and so do you find things like in life, kind of inspires you to go a certain direction, life experiences, like, hey, I was at a concert or I was hanging around with some people at a restaurant. I saw this really cool thing, and all of a sudden.
Sometimes, yes.
Yeah, that's really cool. So, what projects are you working on right now?
Right now, it's a lot of practicing, relearning stuff that that I hadn't done for a while.
Right.
Like I said earlier, the hat was the first thing that brought me into it. And ironically, I didn't make my first hat until 3 years ago.
Right.
But I got into tooling for a while, and I'm kind of getting back into that more.
Great. Yeah, you do some really cool tool work too.
Thank you.
Yeah, I was looking at some of that stuff, and I was like, I took leather class in shop when I was in junior high school, and I remember having to bevel around the edges.
Oh yeah, the
and,
beveling is always fun.
Yeah, and you score it, and then you bevel it, and then you have to get in there and start texturizing things, and it really is an art form. You got to really know what you're doing with all those different tools.
It's a lot of experimentation.
Right.
A lot of textures. Sometimes, I'll make I've taken nails and ground them down to get a to get a texture that I want.
That's really cool. Yeah. So you just adapt and improvise.
Yeah, I mean, most of the textures that I might be after, they're available in stamps or whatever, but finding them.
That's cool, man. So, as all artists, we have our ups and downs. If we don't have our muse, we tend to try to find inspiration. Others,
And
what
you
kind of
can't
highs
force
and
it.
lows do you experience as you've developed as an artist? I mean, I could talk about highs and lows, dealing with just general life situations, just kind of put you in a bad mood, but you still got to kind of push along,
Yeah, it's kind of like it's not just an outlet. Sitting down at the bench, whether it's I'm stitching something together or tooling something up or whatever, it's not just an outlet, but it's a release. When things are bad, I know that I have.
Right.
Sometimes it's a little difficult to get into the workshop,
I know. I
those
go
mornings.
through that too. I get up in the morning. I'm like, oh man, I got a canvas down there screaming my name. I just don't really feel like hitting it.
Yeah, I love looking at seeing your work as well.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that. I have a lot of fun doing it. Sometimes I don't, but most of the time I do. There are times you go down there and just like, oh man, I don't even feel like squeezing paint onto the freaking palette.
Painting's not something that I was ever, even now with the leather, I don't even like dyeing leather because it's just, it is a technique in and of itself, color mixing. And,
yeah.
When I was younger, I actually tried, I did some drawing a little bit, and like some of the techniques that you use with the shading and stuff, that amazes me because I was able to achieve a degree of that, but I was so heavy-handed that everything just come out dark and
yeah,
your grasp of light.
If you
is just
ask
incredible.
Michelle, she'll tell you I come upstairs a lot frustrated when I'm working on a project, and it's because I overwork. I start overworking it, and I'm thinking it too much, or I'm trying to do too much that's probably not even there. I do the same thing when I play the bass. I'll sometimes think, man, this needs more, and or I hear more that's actually not there. Oh, we got somebody singing us a song.
Right.
Yeah, looks like spring's coming. That's a robin. All right, yeah, that's a good
herald.
Sign, man.
That's a herald we don't mind hearing. Yeah.
Right, but I know about all that stuff. Just trying to get into the groove without overworking something, and just keep that flow going, or that inspired, I don't know, energy going,
Yeah, absolutely.
Yep. So, are you on social media? I said you're on Facebook. Do you have any other social media platforms?
I have my personal Facebook page. I have a Facebook page just for the leather work and an Instagram. Though neither one I use nearly as much as I probably should. It's
great.
That I have a real hard time keeping up with it sometimes.
Yeah, I'm the same way. I mean, most artists
I use Facebook for foolery, not
right.
You know what I mean. So I'm trying to get in that mindset of it's a marketing aspect or a
right. Yeah, most artists are that way too. I think we get on a roll where we're just like boom, 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 boom. We're cranking out these projects, and all of a sudden there's like this, ebb.
Yes.
Where there's just nothing for weeks, and all of a sudden, boom, 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 here you are again. Or just absolutely. Boom, and then a couple weeks, and then boom, Same thing with me, when I'm doing some projects, I get hot and heavy into it, and then all of a sudden I'm like, man, I got to take a break, I'm going to burn myself out,
Right.
So you definitely want to do that. So what I'll do is I'll provide some links where you can go look at Dave's work on Instagram and on Facebook, and some contact information if you're interested in getting some work done. And you get one of these really cool hats like this. I know there's a lot of rockers out there that I hang around with that would probably look really killer in one of these things, So I appreciate you coming, Dave.
A lot of I like doing stuff that's unique. That's kind of my motto is MDS Leatherworks, and we're uniquely individual like you.
Well, that's a good marketing thing to have. You don't want to be like other people. You want to be first in the market to something unique and different, and then have everybody else try to copy you.
It has its drawbacks, though. I hate doing things twice. I tried to do a website year before last, and it's like you have to have an inventory of this item. And that's just so hard for me because I can't make the same thing 10 times.
Right. Yeah, mass producing something is just not my idea of a cup of tea, you know.
No, it's, everyone's a little different.
Man, that bird is singing a song, man.
He sounds wonderful.
That is great. That's a good sign. Well, I do appreciate you coming by and talking with me.
I appreciate you having me.
And, you know, we'll finish our coffee. And, you know, all of you out there, you know, I hope you like this new format that we're doing. I think I'll do this probably on Fridays to start. And we'll see if we can get some other people out here to...
yeah, there's some brilliant artists in this area.
And some musicians. And I got some neighbors that do some really cool stuff, you know. I've actually got some other people that I've done business with, you know, that maybe they could come and we could talk about their businesses too. And just bring to light all the really cool creative stuff that's going on around us here in the Frederick County and in the Maryland, Delaware, Pennsylvania kind of area, you know. Well, I appreciate it, Dave.
Oh, absolutely.
Excellent, man. And we're going to finish our coffee. You guys have a great Friday. I hope your weekend rocks. And I might see you guys out there to some of the shows. You know, we've got, I think, Slipback's playing back down at Orioles Nest. Motor Smoke's going to be at BRSA.
I think that's Saturday night. Right?
Yeah, that's Saturday. I think we're going to be there because we're members of BRSA. And I know Razzle Markel has a list out there. If you look him up on Facebook, Razzle Markel, he does his list of all the shows.
Report.
The Razzle
Can't live
Report.
without it.
Yeah, so yeah, a little plug for Razzle there as well. So have a great weekend, and we'll see you next Friday. Take care.
Cheers.
Cheers. Clink.